I believe that if the Fenland region allows itself to become a key resource for energy generation and distribution, the supply of both the nation's energy and the use of surplus cheap energy can establish a new era of horticulture, food growth and distribution. To do so requires great visionary thinking and establishment of infrastructure without barriers to growth. In 1995 I attended a presentation on the proposed new gas-powered station to generate electricity on the site of the old Spalding sugar beet factory. They proposed that neighbouring businesses would be approached to use surplus heat from power generation to be piped for either heating or refrigeration purposes. There was no take-up of this despite refrigeration being used nearby. Whilst I do not understand the reasoning, not to have this as an essential use of surplus heat is a bad use of resources. A few years later I attended an open day at Decoy Farm near Crowland, and part of that vision for the site was anaerobic digesters generating electricity, but also the generation of heat for glasshouses adjacent to the site. Since then, alternative proposals have been made for a shrimp farm. Whatever happens in the future, I feel that this site will expand its power generation over time, and we will see exciting and innovative development both here and elsewhere in the Fens. Smart, green electric generation and food production can go hand in hand. Just look at every food factory, packhouse and distribution hub in the area, and, as I write, vast areas of roof space have been underutilised when they could generate energy. Other businesses are retrofitting solar panels at great expense. For example, Tong Engineering at Spilsby retrofitted solar panels on its factory roof. Smaller packhouses have done this also, and switched forklifts from gas and diesel to electric power. But to really develop this grid capacity is a limiting factor, and this cannot be allowed to remain the case. If you go back to my childhood in the 1970s, many smaller producers in outlying villages such as Western Hills, Cubbit and Gedney Hill had glasshouses. Flower growing and houseplant propagation could be seen under some glass, and tomatoes and cucumbers under others. Because of the way markets worked, it was possible for small producers to make a good living. This was the case from the 1930s through to the 1970s. But the glasshouses in Fenland relied heavily upon oil for heating, and the energy crisis of the 1970s hit hard. Salad products fell by the way, with the margins on flowers being greater and able to absorb some of the cost within their margins. Elsewhere in the Lee Valley, they benefited from mains gas to heat glasshouses at lower cost and at larger scale produce salads. The niche smaller grower was from this point on fading as larger and more efficient economies of scale were used. In more recent times, energy prices have made heated glasshouses unviable in many cases. However, the value of innovation is seen in Dyson Farms that have anaerobic digesters at both Nocton Fen and Carrington, where heat generated from this activity powers commercial strawberry growing under glass, an added value crop in that it can be produced outside normal seasons. Energy generation and food growing and processing go hand in hand, and the Fenland region is ideally located to exploit this.